Cuba. Just whispering the name conjures up images. Vintage cars gleaming in the Caribbean sun, salsa rhythms pulsing through the streets, the scent of strong coffee and hand-rolled cigars. But Cuba is much more than a postcard. It's a country with a soul as vibrant as its music, as resilient as its people. Landing in Havana feels like stepping back in time. Horse-drawn carriages share the road with those iconic 1950s Chevrolets. Grand colonial buildings, some faded, some restored, line the streets. But behind the crumbling facades, you'll find a spirit that's anything but faded. Cubans are known for their warmth and hospitality. They greet you with a smile and a story, eager to share their culture and their love for their island. Music spills out from every doorway. You'll hear the sounds of salsa, rumba, and sun, the rhythms of Africa blending with the melodies of Spain. This is Cuba, a land of contrasts and contradictions, where history and culture collide in a vibrant tapestry of life. Cuba's history is a complex and often turbulent one. The island bears the scars of Spanish colonialism, the echoes of revolution, and the weight of a US embargo. To understand Cuba, you need to understand its past. For centuries, Cuba was a Spanish colony, its economy built on sugarcane and tobacco. The island witnessed the horrors of the slave trade and the struggle for independence. Finally, in 1959, Fidel Castro and his revolutionaries overthrew the Batista regime, ushering in a new era for Cuba. The revolution brought about dramatic changes. Healthcare and education became free, but civil liberties were restricted. The US imposed an embargo, isolating Cuba from its neighbor, just 90 miles away. Today, Cuba is navigating a delicate transition. The government is slowly implementing economic reforms, and relations with the US are thawing. But the legacy of the revolution and the embargo continues to shape the island's present and its future. Despite decades of hardship and isolation, Cubans have held on to their traditions, their sense of community, and their zest for life. Family is paramount in Cuban culture. Generations often live together, sharing close-knit bonds. Elders are respected for their wisdom, and children are cherished. Music and dance are not just forms of entertainment in Cuba. They are woven into the fabric of daily life. From impromptu street corner rumbas to formal dance halls, Cubans express themselves through rhythm and movement. The sounds of salsa, sun, and timbre fill the air, inviting everyone to join in the celebration. Dominoes is practically a national sport in Cuba. You'll find groups of men huddled over domino tables in parks and plazas, the clatter of tiles punctuating their animated conversations. It's more than just a game. It's a social ritual, a way to connect and share stories. Cubans have a saying, siempre hay una razón para una fiesta. There's always a reason for a party, and celebrate they do with a passion and intensity that's contagious. Festivals are an integral part of Cuban culture, a kaleidoscope of music, dance, food, and vibrant traditions. One of the most anticipated events is the Carnaval de Santiago de Cuba, held every July in the country's second largest city. This Afro-Cuban celebration is a riot of color and sound with elaborate floats, dazzling costumes, and pulsating rhythms. The streets come alive with conga lines, rumba circles, and the infectious energy of thousands of revelers. Another highlight is the Festival Internacional de Ballet de la Habana, a biennial event that draws dancers and dance lovers from around the world. The festival showcases the artistry and technical brilliance of Cuban ballet, renowned for its passion and athleticism. Mention Cuba, and two images immediately spring to mind: hand-rolled cigars and those gleaming vintage cars from the 1950s. Both are more than just symbols. They're tangible links to Cuba's past and integral parts of its cultural landscape. Cuban cigars are legendary, prized by aficionados worldwide for their quality and flavor. The country's rich soil and ideal climate create the perfect conditions for growing tobacco, and the art of cigar rolling has been passed down through generations. Visiting a cigar factory is a sensory experience, from the aroma of tobacco leaves to the skilled hands crafting each cigar with precision. Then there are the cars. Chevrolet Bel Airs, Ford Fairlanes, Plymouths. These automotive icons from a bygone era cruise the streets of Cuba, a testament to Cuban ingenuity and resourcefulness. After the revolution, the US embargo made it nearly impossible to import new cars or parts. So Cubans became masters of improvisation, keeping their vintage vehicles running with ingenuity and whatever materials they could find. Section 6. Beyond the beaches, the heart and soul of Cuba. While Cuba's beaches are undeniably alluring, the island's true treasures lie beyond the resorts and sun-drenched shores. To experience the real Cuba, you need to venture into its cities and countryside, to meet its people and immerse yourself in their daily lives. Stroll through Old Havana, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and get lost in its labyrinthine streets. Admire the grandeur of its colonial architecture, the faded elegance of its squares and plazas. Stop at a street vendor for a cup of potent Cuban coffee or a refreshing guarapo, which is sugarcane juice. Venture into the lush Vinales Valley, a UNESCO-protected landscape of towering limestone formations, emerald green tobacco fields, and traditional farmhouses. Explore the valley on horseback or hike through its scenic trails, breathing in the fresh air and soaking up the tranquility of rural life. Section 7. The flavor of Cuba, a culinary adventure. Cuban cuisine is a delicious fusion of Spanish, African, and Caribbean influences, a symphony of flavors that reflects the island's rich cultural heritage. Don't expect fancy restaurants and Michelin-starred chefs. The real culinary magic happens in family kitchens and humble street stalls. A staple of Cuban cuisine is ropa vieja, a flavorful shredded beef dish simmered in a tomato-based sauce with peppers, onions, and spices. Another classic is lechon asado, slow-roasted pork marinated in a mojo criollo, a tangy mixture of garlic, citrus, and herbs. For a taste of the sea, try camarones enchilados, succulent shrimp cooked in a spicy tomato sauce. And no meal in Cuba is complete without rice and beans, the quintessential side dish that accompanies almost everything. black beans are simmered with onions, garlic and spices until creamy and flavorful, served alongside fluffy white rice. Section 8. The Cuban spirit, warmth, resilience and joy. What truly sets Cuba apart is its people. Despite facing economic hardship and political limitations, Cubans possess a spirit of resilience, warmth, and joie de vivre that's both inspiring and infectious. They greet you with a smile, eager to share their culture, their stories, and their love for their island. Music and dance are not just forms of entertainment in Cuba. They are an intrinsic part of the Cuban soul. You'll hear the sounds of salsa, rumba, and son everywhere you go, from street corners to dance halls. Cubans express themselves through rhythm and movement, their bodies swaying to the infectious beats. Resourcefulness is another hallmark of the Cuban spirit. Decades of the US embargo have taught Cubans to make do with what they have, to improvise and innovate. They keep those vintage cars running, repair old appliances, and find creative solutions to everyday challenges. Section 9. Hasta la vista, Cuba. A farewell to remember. Leaving Cuba is always bittersweet. You leave behind the rhythm of the music, the scent of cigars and coffee, the warmth of the people, but you carry with you the memories, the impromptu salsa lessons, the conversations over strong coffee, the laughter of children playing in the streets. Cuba stays with you long after you've left its shores. It's a place that gets under your skin, that challenges your perceptions, that reminds you of the simple joys in life: music, dance, family, and the indomitable spirit of its people. So, until next time, Cuba, hasta la vista.